Hello, welcome back. This is session 9, next to last session in our first week together. And our theme in this session is how to build your creativity muscles. I like to work out. My workout involves weights. Using the weights strengthens my muscles, keeps them in tone. You know, the brain is kind of like a muscle. And if you work it out, it gets stronger. If you work it out, it gets more creative. So I'm going to give you some tips about how to build your creativity muscles and how to exercise your brain. This is found in our book in the chapter 6 called Building Your Creativity Muscles. 10+1 exercises for heavy lifting, change the world innovators. Let's go on and learn some of these 10 creativity exercises. The first 5. First one, maybe the most important. All of us see things around us every day, all the time, that we dislike. Bad service, impolite people, unthoughtful people, things that don't work well, things that are badly designed. We all see this. And it's good to sharpen your vision to see this around you all the time and look for these places where you can create value. And then think about how could this be improved. Now, once in a while, sometimes we need to act on what we see. Maybe not always. If you have a lot of ideas, you can't implement all of them. But you can implement some of them, and you need to implement some of them just to practice using your ideas, making them happen, rather than just saying them. It may be no more than writing a letter, writing an email, calling somebody, bringing something to somebody's attention. But at least some of the time, act. Don't just gripe. Second, some of the stories I told you earlier about zoom in, zoom out, they're really about breaking the rules, like the restaurant where you ate in total darkness. And the assumption is that you have to see your food, and part of restaurants' ambiance is to present the food beautifully. What if you can't see it at all? That's breaking the rule. Break the rules. Innovation is breaking the rules, but intelligently. That means you have to learn the rules first, master the rules, and then think to yourself, what if? What if people ate in total darkness? And some of these ideas are wild and woolly and weird, but sometimes they really do work and they really do create value in unexpected ways. So learn the rules, write down the rules, and then break the rules. And later perhaps we'll talk a bit about how you can do that in a systematic way using a method by a management consultant named Peter Drucker, the late Peter Drucker. 3, change your habits. Get out of your comfort zone. So we're all creatures of habit. We need to be, because if you had to think about every single thing that we did and chose, that would be pretty tiresome. So we usually do the same thing today that we did yesterday, and that keeps us from having to think too much about these minor decisions. The problem with that is that we can become stuck in our habits. We can become comfortable in the familiar. And we need to become comfortable in being uncomfortable in the unfamiliar. So change your habits. Try new things. Try to become comfortable with being temporarily uncomfortable. And then when you come to develop new ideas, you may be more welcoming for these new ideas that somehow make you feel a bit uncomfortable. Change your habits. And I ask my students during my week's course with them, and I'm asking you as well in our 4 weeks together, please do things differently than you usually do. Change your habits. See if that helps you exercise your creativity muscles. Exercise 4, develop resilience, embrace failure. As we said before, creativity is risky because sometimes the things you create don't work. They don't create value. And we need to become resilient. We need to be able to bounce back from working on ideas, sometimes for a long time, sometimes investing our hard-earned savings. We need to bounce back from failures and learn from them and go on and simply get up and try again. develop your resistance, develop your resilience. This is one of the reasons that I've run 2 marathons, Boston and New York. Simply to persist in something that's pretty hard, and see it to the end and cross that finish line. Explore dark corners, experiment everywhere. So the point here is that creativity is not just about inventing gadgets. Creativity is about widening the range of choice in everything, everywhere, all the time, in everything that we do and the way we do it. Explore dark corners, and try to think about new ways, creative ways to do things in everything that you do, from brushing your teeth to tying your shoes, to getting dressed and watching television and listening to music and doing your email. Experiment, try things, experiment everywhere. Learn to focus. Focus is really, really important. Set yourself a goal, focus on that goal, and single-mindedly learn to implement ideas that you've come up with. Focus is really important because creative people sometimes have so many ideas that they're distracted and they skip from one to another. When you implement an idea, just focus on that idea. Use your microscope, zoom in on it, and implement it with great persistence and focus. Grow your persistence. There are many stories in the world of startups that are launched, they have a great idea, and they're on the verge of a breakthrough and great success, but they run out of money, people get tired, people despair. It's very easy to despair when you're trying to implement a radical innovation. Grow your persistence. Develop ways of simply sticking to something and seeing it through to the end, achieving your goal. This is a very important part of changing the world, because if you have a truly creative idea, you will encounter major resistance because people will be uncomfortable with radically new things. And sometimes you have to be rather stubborn or really stubborn to see it through. Practice your persistence. Make sure that you do what you say you're going to do in small things, and then you'll be better able to do it in large things. Hear, listen, and teach, the 8th creativity exercise. There's a wonderful movie recently about Yves Saint Laurent, French movie. Yves Saint Laurent was a designer. He changed the world with his designs. And he got his ideas from walking the streets, as we recount in chapter 6 about building your creativity muscles. He walked the streets, he observed people, and he broke the rules. So, for example, my job as a couturier, he once told the New York Times, is to make clothes that reflect our times. I'm convinced women want to wear pants. And he invented the pantsuit. And until he came along, pants were not a fashion item for women, and after that they were. And they're very comfortable for women, especially working women. So hear, listen, teach. Observe what people need. Nobody came to him and said, we want to wear pants, but he made them beautiful, and they became successful. Hear, listen, observe, and then teach, explain what you're doing, and create value. Johnny Cash, I have a story about Johnny Cash. He was a famous country singer, American country singer. My favorite Johnny Cash song is about Folsom Prison. He wrote a song about people in a real hardcore, tough federal penitentiary in Folsom. And he wrote the song about somebody in jail listening to the sounds outside and wondering about where he went wrong. Johnny Cash listened to the pain and the experiences of people who listened to his music. Instead of being a pampered, wealthy country singer-star, he was somebody who identified with ordinary people and their suffering, their pain, their mistakes, their slip-ups, and expressed that in his songs. Individualize. It's always personal. This is a really important lesson about creativity. If you want to do market research, I can tell you one of the best places to begin. Inside yourself. If there's something that you need, that you would like to have, and it doesn't exist, because many other people are like us, chances are others would want the same thing. So begin with your own need, your own self. Make creativity personal. I would like to have this, and I'm going to make it happen, and then share it with other people. This is a memory stick. All of you have these. The memory stick was invented by an Israeli entrepreneur named Dov Moran, and Dov Moran invented it because he needed it. And he needed it because in 1985 he was making a presentation in New York City with a laptop, and he forgot to plug the laptop in. Laptops then had very short battery lives, and the laptop died and he lost his presentation. And he decided at that moment, I will never again be without backup. And he invented the memory stick, or the disc-on key, as it was called in my country, and the rest is history. The whole world walks around with these things. Make creativity personal. Come up with things that you would like to have. And finally, the last message, or rather strange one, become who you are. We began this session this week. We began it with saying you need to look inside yourself. What are your passions? Begin with why. Become who you are. Join yourself. Explore your passions, and then use your creativity. Exercise your creativity to explore and express who you are, your passions, your desire to change the world and to help other people. And there's a 10 plus 1. That's the last exercise, the brain exercise, the 11th brain exercise. We want you to have 2 instruments. One of them is a microscope. The microscope is something that enables you to see the smallest details of a problem or a challenge you're focusing on. So develop your microscope. And then we want you to have a telescope. That's the zoom out part. The telescope will help you zoom out to the entire world. Zoom out and explore different ways of doing things, different options. Widen the range of choice. And put everything you learned into your shopping basket. In a later week, we're going to discuss how you actually do this and how you do the zoom out with a telescope. And then finally, zoom in again. So great creative people, great entrepreneurs have excellent microscopes with sharp vision to explore little details, understand problems, and then they have great telescopes that zoom out for the whole universe and collect ideas, and then back to the zoom in again. Zoom in, zoom out, our 11th exercise. That ends session number 9, and in our next and last session 10, we're going to wrap up this week.